There are many reasons why The Price is Right has been on the air for 52 years. It's fun to watch, the pricing games are fun to play along with, and it's always great to see folks win big prizes. However, not all of the games have seen high levels of success, and some, well, the less said about them the better. So let's talk about those games. Here we go with 15 failed Price is Right pricing games. These are games that, in one way or another, just did not live up to the high standards of a show that has been on the air for more than half a century. I am specifically not calling them the worst games because some of them were actually good games that just so happen to have a limited destiny. The only common factor is that none of these games are still played today. Alright folks, no ground rules for this one. Here we go with the main list. Number 15, Add 'em Up. One of my favorite games to make this list, Add 'em Up was all about basic addition, adding together digits in the price of the car to create a predetermined sum. Due to the game being unpopular with the staff as well as its anticlimactic nature of gameplay, it was retired after only 2 years. Number 14, Split Decision. Split Decision should not have been hard to explain, play, or win, but for any lack of a better way of putting it, the game just seemed to be cursed. Technical glitches, gameplay adjustments, and confusing rules ruined any chance this game had at success. It lasted only 14 months during its time in existence. Number 13, Walk of Fame. The game based on the popular Hollywood Walk of Fame lasted only 2 years before being retired in late 1985. Walk of Fame was the victim of inflation, and thus it was becoming tougher and tougher to win. Number 12, Balance Game. The first Balance Game lasted from 1984 to 1985. This game had a solid, original concept of keeping the scale balanced, but it just didn't seem to completely click with contestants and was retired rather quickly. However, it is said that the Barker Silver Dollars props from the original version of the game were later reused in the second Balance Game. Number 11, On the Nose. Another 84-85 game, On the Nose, much like Hole-in-One, was based on an actual sport and required athletic ability from the contestant in order to win, in addition to having basic knowledge of pricing. On the Nose required the ability to throw a baseball, football, basketball, etc. accurately, which is much more of a honed skill than putting a ball on a mini golf course, hence its 1 year on the air. Number 10, On the Spot. On the Spot premiered in 2003 and was done by 2004. It was only fun to watch because Bob would occasionally get super flustered trying to explain the very confusing, convoluted rules to the contestants. Step forward, step back, wrong way, right way. It's bad and that's why it failed. It was a bad game. Number 9, Finish Line. Essentially give or keep with a horse racing motif, Finish Line was one of the many failed new games of 1978. It was retired because it was always suffering from mechanical problems. However, it didn't help that Bob, as an animal rights activist, wasn't thrilled with the idea of horse racing in the first place. Number 8, Gallery Game. Played between 1990 and 1991, Gallery Game featured contestants guessing the price of a prize by painting the missing digit onto a likeness of said prize. The game seemed simple enough, but it had a relatively low win percentage. I liked the game because it was truly a different concept from other games at the time, but otherwise it really wasn't anything too special. Number 7, Mystery Price. Mystery Price premiered in September of 1973 and only lasted 6 months before being retired. Its rules were quite complicated to follow and it was confusing to contestants, hence its quick retirement. But on the plus side, you can't really beat that 70s style set with its brown color palette and neon sign, a perfect timestamp of the era. Number 6, Double Digits. This very short-lived game was rather confusing to explain and thus lasted only 5 playings in 1973. However, the basic premise was revisited shortly thereafter as Temptation, a game which is much more popular and still played as of 2023. Number 5, Shower Game. Shower Game was another bad game that didn't stand a chance. Since the game was impossible to walk away empty-handed, there was really no enjoyment to it except for the possibility that the contestant was going to pick the wrong shower and be doused with confetti. Confetti. How embarrassing? It was retired almost immediately after premiering. Number 4, Bullseye 1. Obviously, a game with a 0% win percentage is going to show up high on a list like this one. That's right, this game where a contestant has to narrow down the price of a new car in just a few turns was so difficult, it was never won in its original format. The game wasn't retired per se, but it was repackaged into number 3, Double Bullseye. Essentially the exact same game as Bullseye 1, but with 2 contestants bidding back and forth over the price of the car. Every single game is guaranteed a winner, so there really is no excitement. Plus the fact that the game required 2 contestants to play was extremely awkward, and it just didn't fit in with the rest of the show. It was finally retired after only being played 4 times. Number 2, Telephone Game. Here, the object of this game is to earn a dime in which to place a phone call. The correct phone number will correspond with the price of the car, and thus the contestant will win the prize they call. With the game being referred to as lame by producer Roger Dobkowitz, Telephone Game was only played 3 times before it was retired. And the number 1 most failed pricing game of all time, what else could it possibly be? Professor Price. Only played twice before being quickly retired, Professor Price has the dubious distinction of being the most failed game in Price is Right history. The game doesn't fit in with the rest of the show in any way, shape, or form, plus just look at it. Professor Price is nightmare fuel. All told, no one liked this game, and it was retired just as quickly as it premiered.